Evil knows no gender, and throughout history, women have also committed heinous acts that have left a dark mark on humanity. Today, we will uncover the lives of some of the most evil women in history, ranging from serial killers to political dictators, drug kingpins, and ruthless rulers. Join us in the exploration of the dark and disturbing stories behind these notorious women. Let's delve into the lives of these 10 most evil women in history. 10. Miyuki Ishikawa. Miyuki Ishikawa, a midwife from Japan, became known as possibly the most prolific serial killer in Japanese history during the 1940s. With the help of several others, including her husband, Ishikawa was involved in the deaths of somewhere between 85 to 169 babies, mainly due to neglect. During her trial, Ishikawa made a shocking argument, claiming that the responsibility for the deaths lay with the parents who had abandoned their children. To the surprise of many, Ishikawa's defense worked to some extent. Despite the severity of her crimes, she received a relatively light sentence of only 8 years in prison. What's more astonishing is that she cut this sentence in half through a successful appeal. This case not only reveals the extent of Ishikawa's wickedness, but also highlights the complexities of the justice system and societal attitudes towards such heinous crimes. Despite the overwhelming evidence against her, Ishikawa's ability to manipulate perceptions and shift blame sheds light on the challenges of achieving justice in cases involving vulnerable and marginalized victims. The leniency of her sentence serves as a troubling reminder of the injustices that can occur within the legal system. 9. Aileen Wuornos. Her troubled upbringing, marked by sexual abuse and abandonment, led her to a life on the streets as a sex worker along Florida's highways. In November 1989, Wuornos committed her first murder, killing a man who had offered her a ride. This act set off a chain of violence as she went on to take the lives of at least 5 more men. Eventually, law enforcement caught up with Wuornos. She faced trial and found guilty and sentenced to death, spending years on death row. Throughout her legal proceedings, questions arose about her mental state. Despite these concerns, Wuornos was executed by lethal injection in 2002. Her case remains a reminder of the complexities of human behavior, the impact of early trauma, and the consequences of unchecked violence. 8. Juana Barraza. Born in 1957 to a mother struggling with alcoholism, Juana Barraza's life took a dark turn as she became one of Mexico's most scandalous serial killers. Despite her background, she found success as a professional wrestler, gaining attention for her remarkable size and strength. However, there was a fatal truth hidden under this appearance. Between 1998 and 2006, Barraza targeted vulnerable elderly women, ultimately claiming the lives of between 42 to 48 victims. Her crimes earned her the nickname the Old Lady Killer. For years, authorities believed the culprit to be male, until Barraza's arrest in January 2006 while fleeing from the scene of her latest murder. Barraza faced justice and was convicted on 16 counts of murder. She received a sentence of 759 years in prison. Her case serves as a sobering reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of uncovering hidden truths to bring closure to victims and their families. 7. Leonarda Cianciulli. Between 1939 and 1940, Leonarda Cianciulli shocked Italy with her crimes. She targeted 3 middle-aged neighbors, murdering them, and then using their remains to make tea cakes and soap. This horrifying behavior earned her the title, the Soap Maker of Correggio. Cianciulli's actions were fueled by extreme superstition. She believed that her family was cursed due to her marriage to a man her parents disapproved of. Desperate to break the curse, she resorted to these criminal acts. The case of Leonarda Cianciulli serves as a haunting reminder of the power of superstition and the lengths to which some will go to rid themselves of perceived curses or misfortune. Her crimes shocked the nation and continue to disturb people to this day. 6. Darya Saltykova. The 18th century Russian noblewoman Darya Saltykova became well known for being a vicious serial killer. Born into wealth and privilege, she married into the prominent Saltykov family and inherited a vast estate upon her husband's death. But beneath her noble exterior, Saltykova was a ruthless and sinister person. She subjected her servants, particularly women, to horrific torture and abuse, leading to numerous deaths. Despite early complaints, her connections shielded her from accountability until Empress Catherine II intervened. Saltykova's trial revealed shocking details of her crimes, with as many as 140 suspicious deaths attributed to her. Found guilty of 38 murders, Saltykova faced a unique challenge for punishment due to the abolition of capital punishment in Russia. Instead, she endured public humiliation and life imprisonment in a Moscow convent cellar until she died in 1801. 5. Delphine LaLaurie. Marie Delphine McCarty, also known as Madame Blanc, and later Madame LaLaurie, was a prominent New Orleans socialite with a disturbing secret. She had a dark side and tortured and killed slaves in her home in the early 19th century, despite her high social status. Her crimes came to light in 1834 when a fire at her Royal Street mansion led to the discovery of bound and abused slaves. The revelation shocked the community, leading to a mob attack on her residence. LaLaurie fled to France with her family, where she lived in exile until her death. The exact details of her demise remain unclear, with some accounts suggesting she died in a hunting accident, while others claim she passed away peacefully in Paris. Regardless of her fate, LaLaurie's legacy is one of cruelty and horror, leaving a dark stain on the history of New Orleans. 4. Catherine de' Medici. Catherine de' Medici, an influential figure in medieval Europe, gained immense power as the Queen of France from 1547 to 1559. Nicknamed the Black Widow, she was famous for her ruthlessness and involvement in the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre of August 1572. This organized atrocity targeted the Huguenots, French Calvinist Protestants, under the aspect of religious conflict. The massacre, orchestrated by Catherine, resulted in the deaths of up to 30,000 Huguenots. It stands as one of the darkest moments in French history, marked by extreme violence and political manipulation. Catherine's role in this event solidified her reputation as a cunning and merciless ruler, willing to use any means to maintain her grip on power. Despite her influence, she remains a controversial figure, remembered for both her political acumen and her willingness to resort to brutality to achieve her goals. 3. Charlene Gallego. Charlene Gallego and her husband's reign of terror spanned from 1978 to 1980 in Nevada and Northern California. Their depraved acts included raping, torturing, and murdering 10 victims, predominantly teenage girls and young women. Charlene cooperated with authorities, resulting in her serving 16 years in prison, while Gerald faced the death penalty by the gas chamber. The Gallego case remains a severe reminder of the horrors humans are capable of inflicting. Despite Charlene's release, the scars left on the victims' families and affected communities endure. The tragic outcome underscores the importance of justice and the need to prevent such brutality from occurring in the future. 2. Tillie Klimek. Tillie Klimek, a Polish immigrant living in Chicago during the early 20th century, gained fame as a serial killer. She was known for her ability to predict the death of her husbands, which later led to suspicion and her eventual arrest. Klimek was found guilty of poisoning her husbands and was sentenced to life imprisonment. 1. Mireya Moreno Carreon. Mireya Moreno Carreon, a nurse from Mexico, was dubbed the Black Widow of Delicias after she was suspected of killing her elderly patients. Working in a hospital in Chihuahua, she was believed to have administered lethal doses of medication to her victims. Her actions were discovered when colleagues noticed an unusually high number of deaths among her patients. Despite the mounting evidence, Carreon maintained her innocence throughout her trial. As we conclude our journey through the lives of these notorious women, we are reminded of the dark side of human nature. These stories serve as a stark reminder that evil knows no gender, and it can manifest in the most unexpected places. Thank you for joining us in exploring the dark and disturbing stories behind 10 of the evilest women in history. Stay tuned for more such intriguing stories.